Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Four Quarters podcast powered by Four Quarters Media. I'm your host, Tyler Bennett, here with you once again. Third last episode before the end of season 2. I had to do some quick math in my head, and it didn't go as well as I'd hoped. You had that awkward pause, wondering what is going on. Third last episode before season 2 ends. We take a break for the holidays and come back in the new year, hopefully refreshed. We'll see what happens. We are on day 3 as well of our Cross Canada Spotlight series on November 30th on episode 39. We released our CCAA men's basketball Spotlight series. We had 4 of the 5 leagues represented. We talked with Slav Kornick out of Nate, Cassidy Kannemeyer out of Capilano, James Grant out of Lambton, and John Hickey out of St. Thomas. And then on Tuesday, to ring in the month of December, episode 40, we had our CCAA women's basketball Spotlight show. We had all 5 leagues represented. Justin Thiessen out of Camosun. We had Anthony Skeppel from Briarcrest, Jesse Van Houwelingen from Redeemer. And then we went to Quebec and had Bernard Tanguay and forward Clara Bergeron from Giants du Saint-Jean. And we ended up with Mark Forward in the ACAA. So it's been a busy 2 days on the podcast. I'm sure you've seen a lot of things come out. We're rolling with another 4 today. You're going to have 4 parts on this one. We go our youth sports men's basketball spotlight series. And before we get into everything with what's on tap for these 4 parts, huge shout out to any and every school that took part in raising funds for Movember. Obviously now being December 1st, by the time this comes out, December 2nd, all those funds are going to go to a fantastic use, and kudos to everybody involved in Movember endeavors all over the place on raising awareness for men's mental health, suicide awareness. Just fantastic endeavor. So shout out to every school and everybody in general that either donned a mustache just to keep the conversation going, raise awareness to those who raised funds, to those who donated funds. Kudos to you. It's fantastic. And let's keep the conversation going like we are doing with this in basketball. Keep the conversation going year-round on all illnesses and ailments, because that's what we need to do to keep the attention on what we need to and keep moving that right direction. Episode 41. Right now, whatever part you're on, 1, 2, 3, or 4, there's a fantastic interview coming up on tap. We start in Quebec. We go to Bishops with head coach Rod Gilpin. With the Gators, we look at kind of his career, how he went from Ontario and how he ended up at Bishops, of all places, and kind of some of the misconceptions that we may have as citizens of Ontario about Quebec. So he debunked a few of those right off the bat, some of which he went into the situation in Bishops thinking the same way as most Ontarians probably do. And we looked at kind of his career, the impact that Coach Eddie Pomykala has had on his career, and how his career unfolded going from an assistant coach to taking the interim role on the women's side, which then turned into a 14-year career. And then he ended up taking over for Eddie when he retired. So how that kind of full circle moment was for him. And we also touched on the fan support at Bishops. And through that, we looked at this past year's run to U Sports National Championship with a thrilling buzzer-beating win on their home floor in the RSEC League Championship game over UQAM. So part 1, great chat. And then in part 2, we go to the East Coast. we chat with St. Mary's Huskies men's basketball head coach Jonah Tausig, looking at, again, a similar trajectory, looking at his career where he went from playing and having a stellar playing career. The list of accolades is lengthy. You need more than two hands to count his individual awards from his playing time with the Huskies. And then we discussed kind of how he went from being a player to coaching with Coach Quackenbush, and then ultimately, again, taking over the program, and where he's now been for 8 years. We looked at the sustained level of success that the Huskies have been able to have in the AUS, which is a league that doesn't get enough love nationally, I think. He disagreed a little bit, but I said it was a little overshadowed by the OUA and Canada West. And I just don't think it gets the attention it deserves. There's a ton of talent in the league. On the East Coast itself, it's really well represented and really well covered. But nationally, I think it still is overshadowed, and I'm going to stand by that statement. Then part 3, we go all the way across the country to the Canada West. We chat with the newly minted Fraser Valley Cascades men's basketball head coach Joe Envoltson, looking at the transition for him, going from Douglas College in the CCAA to Fraser Valley, and kind of the challenges that have come with that move being in a pandemic. Obviously, that's never easy to do on a regular basis, let alone a pandemic, and try to recruit, build a roster, get to know your guys when there's no season. So we looked at the challenges with that, how the move has gone for him as a whole. We started off the episode by looking at kind of what Christmas is like for the Envoltson family. He's had some Instagram stories and polls up the last couple weeks, getting the tree ready. His one Starbucks peppermint mocha for the year to ring in the holiday season. And we just had a fun chat on Christmas and looking at what it's like to now see his little guy looking at the lights and the tree and everything else, and kind of the enjoyment that brings parents seeing it through the kids' eyes. And then we got into the basketball stuff, which is, again, similar trajectory, that move, and kind of what it's been like for him day to day with kind of everything changing with the pandemic. And then we end in Ontario. Head coach Justin Serresse out of Laurier, the Golden Hawks, kind of see a trend in 3 of the 4 chats, if you will, with Coach Gilpin, Coach Tausig, and then Coach Serresse, looking at their careers and how they went from playing into coaching. And for Coach Serresse, being from France, in Normandy more specifically, the professional experience he had at a young age, looking at how that kind of shaped his mindset as a player and now as a coach. Getting that experience at such a young age, maybe not from a minutes standpoint, from just a sheer being around professionals on a regular basis, has helped his career immensely. And he'll touch on that as well as we go through part 4. So I don't want to give too much away on all 4 of these chats because they were all fantastic. And hopefully you listen to the other 3 once you're done whatever one you're on right now. So with that all said, whether you're part 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're in for a treat. And we're day 2 of December. Consider this the second day of your Advent calendar. You're in for something fun. So whoever you're listening to, whatever name scrolls across the subject line on this episode, enjoy it. This is part 1 to 4 of episode 40 of the 4 Quarters podcast, powered by 4 Quarters Media, with myself and whatever trained professional in basketball you have selected to hear from this time. Enjoy. So as we wrap up our U Sports men's basketball spotlight episode, we finish in the OUA, joined now by our men's basketball featured guest out of Laurier, head coach Justin Serresse. And coach, first off, before we jump in, I want to thank you again for taking time out of your day. I know we talked a bit before we jumped on with how everything's going. Just how are things with you, the family, the team, kind of everything going on around your area of Ontario?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really, I think we're all kind of in the same boat here. Play day by day.
Yep.
Right now, like I was mentioning, we're training as a group of small pods of 10 players. A lot of player developments, which for this semester, it's exactly what I wanted to do anyways. A lot of skills, a lot of shooting, just because we do have a lot of younger player that need to take the lead to the next couple of years into more leadership roles and bigger roles on the team. So I'm very happy that we were able to at least get that done.
Right. I think, like we said too before we jumped on and hit the record button, you'll take it whatever you can get at
For
this
sure.
point, because you see kind of like schools out west that are now and out east that are shut down
Hmm.
for at least until January, and they can't get in the gym. So even obviously you'd like to have kind of more than 10 guys in the gym, but I think at the same time we take whatever we get at this point in the year because it's been a long 9 months. And
Yes, yes, yes.
and for the players, I think too, if they have to be in with 9 guys and keep their distance and masks and whatever else, they're going to do it because they want to be in the gym probably more than the coaches do, if that's even
Sure,
possible.
for sure.
What's the energy been like from the guys? Then obviously with kind of things being a bit different, not having the full roster, is the energy level still high in the gym? Guys just excited to be there.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have a few guys on my team who are very vocal and help when we have smaller groups. Obviously, help when the whole team is there. But having those guys being quote unquote hype
Yeah,
guys and positive dudes.
right.
Yesterday I was speaking with our athletic trainers and she was in the gym making sure everything is safe, and she was mentioning that we were the team that had by far the most energy and the most light into our practice.
Okay.
And I think it's just kudos to those guys who bring that out.
Hmm.
They make it fun, and I really making a point right now to staying as positive as possible, still pushing them through their shooting drills and stuff like that, but
Right.
trying to overdoing it with the positiveness just because we know how hard it is mentally, physically, and all of those things when you're separated from the competition.
Right.
And I think we're doing a pretty good job with that.
Yeah, because for a lot of these players, men or women, whatever sport it is, the sport is kind of their escape from everything else in the
Mhm.
world, and then it's kind of their like safe place for an hour or 2 hours where whatever's going on in the world, positive or negative, doesn't really have an impact.
Yeah,
So just overdo that positive as much as you can because I think it gives them something to look forward to, gives them a
mhm.
break from the otherwise disaster that has been this pandemic, and it brings that positive light. And I don't think people on the outside, and I sound like a broken record saying this, but the impact it has on mental health for the athletes and the coaches
Yeah,
is immense. It's huge.
yeah. It's. I mean, not just for athletes. I think anybody
Right.
just being at home. Obviously, you're allowed to go out, but you're just so tentative, and I
Hmm.
mean, we've talked about it so many times. But personally, I'm a type of person that try to always see a positive, an opportunity into a situation.
Right.
Um, obviously not always work in my favors, but
Right.
this year I've been really much better in that area just because um, we knew it was going to be a tough season, and I just wanted to make sure I got something out of this year. So I have projects with all of my staff member. I have mini project with some of my players, and they just we actually added so much to our program.
Right.
New drills, new way of tracking shots, just so many new things that we are going to bring even after the pandemic. And I think it's just going to help us get over the hump in terms of just our skill sets and all of that stuff. So I'm excited for that. So yeah, and on a personal note, I had my daughter, well, she was born in August. So
Okay.
having her, my first child,
Right.
it's a blessing for me, and I can't. Um, I can't get down. I'm just, every day it's just a pure laughter and smile. So that
Right.
also helped me just seeing life in a much more positive way than maybe
Right.
other people. So, and everything around my personal life. It just this whole thing helped getting
Right.
through the pandemic.
Right. And well, congratulations first
Thank
on that. That's a big deal in of itself. Obviously, the first child, and
you.
I guess now too with kind of having that extra free time. And whereas if it was a season this year, you kind of be on the road on weekends. You're now have all the time, or not all the time, but more time than you would normally have to kind of be
Right.
around for the laughs, the smiles, the wake ups in the morning, and she's there just
Mm-hmm.
waiting for you. So that
Yeah.
I think
Big
no matter
smile every day.
that's the best way to wake up. No
Yeah.
matter what happened the day before,
Mm-hmm.
you're waking up to that every morning, and that's just kind of that reset button. And it, I think this year too, has put everything into perspective, and it kind of shows the importance of, like you said, taking a positive from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for you now having a little one at home and then still being able to be in the gym, there's a lot of positives to take from this
I'm not
year.
complaining. I'm not complaining at all.
And to be you've got a lot more energy than I thought you would with now having so it's November, so 3 months, 3.5 months. Looks like sleep's still doing okay for you, so
Oh
that's a good
yeah, no,
sign.
sleep is great. I wake up every day around 6 a.m. to go work out
Okay.
uh, and do some work, and then she wakes up around 8, 9, and then I usually take care of her, wash her, whatever the case
Hmm.
may be, play with her a little bit, and then go back to work. So it's a beautiful routine. I'm just so grateful.
Just adds that just that balance of kind of the fun with her, working a bit at home, and then fun with her, and kind
Yeah.
of have that. I think that's the one thing COVID's brought is just that home life, and people have more time with their families that they never would normally have, especially for basketball coaches at this time of the year, because
So,
you'd be getting ready for games on a Friday, Saturday, and OUA even Wednesdays or Thursdays.
mhm.
So just the extra free time has put a lot of those things that we may have taken for granted in the past back uh, high on the priority list and back into focus, and force us to reset a little bit.
For sure, for sure, no doubt.
Let's look at the team a bit then, since we're going on that before we kind of get into your journey and your career, because there's last year you guys had that amazing run to the semifinals in the OUA game of the year against Western, which was an emotional roller coaster for fans. I can only imagine what it was like for you guys
Yeah.
on the bench, because that
Mhm.
was up, down, every which direction you could have taken it. Um, just kind of looking at how the season played out for you guys and kind of what you thought you saw from the team overall as a whole.
Well, last year was probably the most challenging season I had to experience,
Mm-hmm.
just because, as coaches, you're trying to plan for injuries,
Right.
but you can't plan for one, two, three, four, five, six of your top 10 players being
Right.
injured at one point. And not just for one game, for multiple games at a time.
Right.
And then thinking about, oh, I have 1, 2, 3 point guards before playing my fourth point guard. And now all of those 3 point guards are injured.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Having redshirts, having to end up playing 20 minutes in some games.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, playing a new system halfway through the season just because you don't have it. You literally don't have any guards playing zone for 40 minutes when I never done that as a coach. So
Right.
all of those things really helped me. It was very challenging. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
I was struggling for a little bit for at least 2, 3 weeks,
Mhm.
maybe even a month. The December break came exactly where it needed to,
Mhm.
just because we were able to get some guys back
Right.
after the break,
Mhm.
and I was able to really do a dive in on what can we do better
Mhm.
to make this team work. Because it was a lot of thinking about last season, what we have done last season, but at the end of the day, we were different than the season before.
Right.
And I thought guys thought we could just run it back, but then it just didn't click the same way.
Right.
Um, Obviously injuries, but also even without injuries, I didn't think we were playing. We needed to make some adjustments.
Mhm.
And I usually take the December break to really dive in every year, anyways.
Mhm.
But that one was very helpful.
Right.
And then we just came up with just a different mindset, different focus on, especially offensively, just less is more. I'm always in that mindset,
Mhm.
and I always wanted to play with a free flowing offense.
Right.
But over the years, the message got lost, and then some guys wanted to play, or I wanted, I guess, and then the team started to play more half court.
Okay.
We started redesigning our offense, looking at the full court instead of looking at a half court.
Right.
How can we get going right from the rebounding or the inbound?
Mhm.
That definitely changed the pace, the flow.
Right.
We ended up scoring way more,
Mhm.
and then we ended up just playing. Just it was more fun to coach
Right.
them, play, and then guys got back. Everybody got back healthy at the right time,
Mhm.
which was right before playoff.
Right.
And then from there we were on the road the whole playoff run,
Mhm.
going to Kingston, then Thunder Bay, then London,
Yeah.
which it's unheard of. And for us to be so close to pull it off,
Mhm.
without barely any sleeps from the coaching staff point of view, but very little rest from the players' perspective,
Mhm.
um, I was very disappointed, but I was also very proud of that run because even though it was a weak run,
Right.
it's not like we're traveling like NBA teams. It was a tough,
Mhm.
physically run, and we play our best basketball down the stretch, and that's been like that for the last 3 years. Hopefully, we can keep that going. I don't really know why we do that, but
Right.
we tend to do that. So I won't jinx myself, and hopefully, we can keep that going.
I think that's one of the things that people don't necessarily realize about the run you guys had in the playoffs is because there's so much travel. And if believe it was like 3 days in between games, 2 or 3 days. It was like a Wednesday, Saturday,
It was
Wednesday,
Wednesday,
or
Saturday, Wednesday.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so you're Kingston Wednesday, and then you're, like you said, you're Thunder Bay Saturday, and then you're back to London Wednesday, and
yeah.
that's a
And
lot of
if you even
travel.
think about it, looking at Queens at home was their record at home was very, very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and Lakehead at home having lost in 2020 at home, they only
Right.
lost one game at home,
Right.
their second game of the year against McMaster, and they
Mm-hmm.
were undefeated until then.
Yep.
And then we all know that West playing at Western is just never easy.
Right.
So even just thinking about that, um, and we have lost against Queens and Lakehead
Right.
during the regular season. So, anyways, all of those things combined, it was for me. It's just something that the focus level from our top players, especially Ali,
Mm-hmm.
that the way he carried himself during that stretch, not even on the court, just the way he carried himself as a leader in video session, in shoot around, in practice. He was so focused during that stretch even before the playoff, but like it was probably a 2.5 week stretch, end of the season playoff. He was so focused that I was like, okay, if you bring that to the whole season,
Right.
we would have had a different year for sure.
Right. And yeah, the game against Western obviously had its emotions. What was going through your mind when everything just kind of unfolded in Western's favor at the end of it? I mean, because you guys, right there neck and neck the entire way, and they just hit a couple big shots to extend it and ultimately, advance to nationals. But for
Yeah.
you, kind of what was going through your mind when everything kind of went down in the last few seconds?
Well, I'm not the type of guy in the moment. I don't really second guess myself too much.
Right.
So it's just trying to stay rational to the point.
Yep.
So I felt very comfortable. Now looking back, obviously you're trying to looking at the situation. So
Right.
The fact that they didn't have a timeout, Ali's at the free throw line, he's got to make two to make a two-position game. He missed the first one, makes the second one.
Mhm.
I didn't really. I'm not a fan of fouling, especially in FIBA, just because of the fact that they could potentially call a intentional. So it's
Right.
closing the ball back,
Mm-hmm.
and we have got called for that literally against Queens,
Right.
against. I don't think against Lakehead, but for sure against Queens, the playoff game. And then
Mhm.
prior to that, I'm pretty sure it happened again during the season. So it was fresh on my mind that we've done that in the past, and we were fouling on purpose,
Mhm.
and we got called, and I didn't. It was a 50-50. At those points, it's a very
Right.
subjective call, right?
Yep.
So I wasn't comfortable um, fouling, but
Mhm.
looking back, maybe we should have.
Right.
Two, we having to not get burned on the front court so that they cross us over, headman, up fake, sidestep, three should have never happened.
Right.
Last play for Norway was not executed the way I wanted to win the game before overtime. But prior to going to, we were down in regulation, and we made a comeback to actually give us a chance to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
In overtime, I thought we held ourselves better.
Right.
And Matt missed the shots, two shots actually, one dead on, one in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
That are just rattled in and out. We make those shots, the game is over.
Right.
Then Kamel makes the block plus up two. If he blocks it, not out of bounds, but block the shot on a loose ball, we get the ball, the game is over.
Mm-hmm.
Blocks it out of bounds, and then unfortunately, Norway short close out on can't remember his name now. Sorry.
That's all right.
Western's point guard and Nikola Farkic.
Yep.
Oh my God. And on Farkic short close out instead of fly by, at least because he's late to fly by, and with his length, if he flies by, he gets a piece of it, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't, which he, unfortunately for him, have done the same thing at at Laval in preseason 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were tie game, and the dude, one guy from Laval, cut the ball almost a half court, short close out. He makes it, and we lost the game like that. And I literally flashback. I'm like, just close out hard, man. There's 1 second.
Right.
And then the last play, I was mad at myself because I had two plays, and I knew they were going to zone. They always did. And I had two plays, but one, and we went over it in practice over and over in all those situations. And in the moment, I wasn't comfortable drawing that play. And I thought if I had, quote unquote, the balls to put it off, it could have been crazy, because it's crazy. Like it's something that you don't see often.
Okay.
And I didn't feel comfortable with that because in practice, it didn't look as good as I wanted to. But
Right.
the other team knew it. So, and then we went with the lob play, which we ended up getting a better shot on video. We ended up getting a good shot. I thought we got a bad shot. And the just to finish on that end of game there, where I'm the most mad at myself, looking at all of those things. Yeah, I could have done this better.
Mm-hmm.
I could have tell Norway all the guys to remind them to close out hard on last second in the clock. Maybe we practice situation like that more. So I'm thinking about all of those things, that what can we do moving forward that it's not going to happen again, or something else will happen and we can learn from that thing and get better. Anyways, last time out, I thought my body language, I should have given Kamel the kind of like the energy that he would need to believe that you're gonna get it, you're gonna score.
Right.
And I was a bit defeated, and I'm so mad at myself that because it's just that shot just hurt.
Right.
And instead of snapping out of it quicker, I was still pretty pissed and hurt. And I should have just looked at Kemal in the eye and said, catch it, land, take your time, 2 seconds, or 1.9, whatever the case was.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of my breakdown. And again, still pretty pissed off about it.
I apologize for bringing it back up, but I always find it fascinating too that how well coaches can remember how things happen too, because that was like bang bang bang, that was incredible. But it also shows too like how the game of basketball is just kind of that game of inches, and if one of Matt's 2 shots go down, it's Laurier at nationals. If Kamel's the block stays in bounds, it's Laurier at nationals. It just an inch or two either way. It just shows like how it's literally how the ball bounces, and
sure.
it bounced their way, unfortunately. But I would have to think.
Fortunately for them, I mean, I have tremendous respect for Western. They're always a very tough team to play.
Yep.
And over the years, I thought we had a crazy games against them. And there's a few players on the team that I've known while recruiting, or they're from Waterloo, and they're great guys. So at the end of the day, I was mad for us, but like I'm never a sour loser. First thing I did after, I texted the coach Campbell, right? Like it's the first person that I texted after the game, just to congratulate him. And I think as coaches we need a little bit more of that, because I have a saying: your success is not my failure.
Right.
Right. And if you're successful, it doesn't mean that I'm a failure. So I'm happy for you. And if I want to be better, then I got to look at myself in the mirror, but I can't look at your success and look at myself in the mirror as a failure.
Right. And I think too, like you said, with the injuries that you guys had to endure, and you're playing the 4th point guard, and to go from that point where you're playing systems you never saw yourself playing, and guys are in roles that they had no idea they were going to be in at the start of the year, to be 1 shot away from a spot at nationals, I think has to be viewed as an overall success.
Yeah, I mean, it was for us for sure. And again, I was happy, not satisfied. I always say that.
Right.
And that's how I live my life. I'm always trying to stay in a good mood as much as possible in my personal life, especially, but always strive for a little bit more, because it's just fun to challenge yourself, I think.
Exactly. Like as soon as you kind of get that complacency, or you kind of just you think you're comfortable, I guess that's when you kind of stop learning, and you always want to, like you said, have that outlook, but at the same time push for more and kind of continue that learning, that development, because or else like you're not going to learn, you're not going to challenge yourself, and it's just going to be
boring.
Exactly. It's not fun. And like especially now with this year with COVID, like if you're not pushing yourself, like staying home is going to be boring.
Yeah,
it's just the way it's going to be. But looking at the group then that you've got coming back next year, I know there's some, we've talked a bit before, there's some names that are going to be taking in new roles and kind of stepping up, and you've got some new guys coming in. Just kind of what stands out to you about this group that you've got going forward, obviously now, again, with the year kind of being what it is, but what stands out to you about the group that you guys have back and coming in?
Well, the biggest question is how are we going to be able to replace a guy like Emil Archer, who's a double-double machine, but not just a great basketball player. He's one of the nicest person I've had to coach. So kind, and just an amazing guy. I still talk to him multiple times a week. He's in Spain playing professional now.
Right.
And again, it's not because he's playing professional. There's some guys that went pro that I've coached that I didn't really stay in touch as much. It's just that he's an amazing person and his amazing teammates, great leadership, great mentor. So
Hmm.
how can you replace the talented player as well as a mentor like that in a locker room guy? This is going to be the biggest question. We do have a lot of talented players. Obviously, Majok Deng, Ben Stevens, Josh Stevens, Jordan Kinnings. Those are the four big men, and Adam Begovic, who's more of a stretch four,
Hmm.
who sometimes could slide to the five. So two, hopefully three out of those five guys are going to need to step up.
Right.
And they all have their own uh, pros and cons,
Hmm.
or strengths and weaknesses, whatever.
Yep.
Um, and their strengths could be so good, and their weaknesses need to be uh, worked on
Hmm.
as much as possible. So they're not a quote unquote a liability situation where teams could take advantage of certain situations.
Right.
So I'm excited to see who's going to pop out of that group
Hmm.
and really take on that challenge.
Right. And I think too, like with a guy like Kamel, like how consistent he was, and like you said, double machine. Uh, it's obviously you're not looking for one of these guys to replicate what he's
Not
doing.
at
You want
all.
to have them kind of what, obviously goes without saying, kind of tailor everything to their strengths and what they do well, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be like a by committee approach to kind of pick up what he uh, produced and brought to the team because
Sure.
he was such a consistent player that didn't get the I don't think he got the not like the respect that he deserved for his game on the floor as well with how consistent he was on both ends.
For sure. I think if we had a better regular season last year,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he would have got the recognition, but it would have been tough for us to be a 11-11 team. Nobody really thought we were going to make that playoff run.
Right.
So, and he did have games where sometimes he will not shoot as much, so
Mm-hmm.
his, I guess, numbers would not look as good. But anyways, yeah, I agree for sure. I think by committee, but I still think one guy could have a breakout year,
Oh, for sure.
and but very different in Kemal, obviously. But just want to have that. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see out of this guy who's going to break out, and then go from there. So
Yep.
yeah, I think inside is the biggest, I guess, challenge with not having a season. We have a guy like Nori who's graduating school this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to move on. Or we'll see if he wants to come back down the road if he doesn't feel like he got anything going on for next year. But we got to find a way to play with a much different style because he was also kind of the Swiss Army tool that we had that we need to figure out how to change. And
Yep.
I'm excited also for that challenge.
Yep.
Because we got obviously a lot of very talented guard that can,
Yes.
if we play a different style, we can have multiple playmaker guard wise, maybe not forward as much, but more
Right.
guard like Ali, obviously. But Ali's brother Ishmael is coming in on the team, and he's surprising a lot of people in practice right now,
Right.
including myself,
Mm-hmm.
which it's surprising because I knew how good he was, but he's even better than I thought,
Okay.
and doing very good on and off the court. So I'm very very proud of him. And then we got Ethan Paisley as well,
Mm-hmm.
a local point guard who I think can learn a lot from Ali, and
Right.
he's tough as nails. So having those two rockets, they are so quick on the court at the
Right.
same time could be interesting. And obviously we got Vlad, KJ, Romelo, Jackson, Benur, all of those guys, that Kareem Elliott, all of those guys are going to bring something different to the table,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all extremely important to what we do. So
Right.
I'm very comfortable with the roster is, and to be honest, I'm just excited. Every year, I'm just excited to see what's going to happen. Because it's never
Right.
it never go as planned.
Right. And like we said too, like you're practicing against the same guys over and over again. Like you want to kind of see almost now how it stacks up against others because you're working against the same guys over and over. you get that urge now. You get that excitement to see
For sure.
how guys like Ishmael and the rookies are playing now in practice. How does that translate?
For
And
sure.
they're surprising you, and no one else has really seen them because it's your practice. So
Yeah.
uh, can he surprise others? Which I have no doubt that
I hope so.
he's going to. But then think for the forwards, like I think best case scenarios you have kind of all of those guys kind of have breakout years in their own right, because I think any one of them can go off at any night and kind of just roll with that momentum. And I think they can all kind of play and feed off one another too, because they see one guy doing their thing and that's good success for the team and they want to have a piece of that. So I think now with the opportunities in that front court, you may see 3 or 4 of those guys kind of have
For
their own
sure.
kind of mini breakout years. I think that'd be kind of like a perfect storm world.
Yeah, I agree. And again, with if Norrie doesn't come back and Kemal being gone,
Mhm.
it's 60 minutes right there
Right.
per game.
Yep.
So he could be 20-20-20. He could be 30-30.
Yep.
It could be 15-15-15, for 4 guys. So there's a lot of opportunities to be jumped on. And we also have this year's recruiting class. So
Right.
with you, we're bringing it. And if there is somebody that, is ready to take on that leap. So again, just very big question mark.
Yep.
Not scary at all.
Yep.
Just because you can't be, thinking like that. You just got to be excited for the challenge.
Right.
And eventually things will line up. And, in order for us to be as good as we want, those guys just, somebody or all of them need to perform to their abilities, and they're all capable of doing very well. So
right.
Very excited.
And the opportunities are there for them to earn. They're not going to be handed out by any means, but like you said, there's potentially 2 to 4 roles with those minutes being split up. If Norrie doesn't come back, that guys can take, and I mean they can earn it and lose it just as quick. And I think if you need any extra motivation other than here's my chance to shine, you're probably not in the right spot, because here's your chance, take it and run with it, and just leave it all on the floor until someone tells you not to.
For sure.
Because you were on an episode of the One and Only podcast back in the summer as well with Theo, and you talked a lot about your journey from playing basketball in France to a knee injury that kind of took you off playing for up to 3 years, close to, before you came back and ended up playing over in Canada. One theme that kind of came out of everything for me in that episode was kind of, well, I guess there's 3: your work ethic, kind of perseverance, and just that motivation, that intrinsic kind of motivation to succeed. And when you injured your knee, you were playing with a professional team in France. For one, alone as a 17-year-old, taking experience from a pro team is something else that we don't really see over here that often.
Yeah.
What was that kind of experience like for you to kind of be around a professional team as often as you were at such a young age?
It's crazy. I mean, looking back, I'm like, first I'm looking back at it, I was a pretty good, player, but just having an opportunity like that, I just, even myself couldn't believe it, because I wasn't, I was a top player on my team, but I never got any type of recognition, other than just playing so hard on my team. And I was playing with the coach, the son of the coach from the pro team from our hometown. And he got to see me more than anybody else,
right?
Because I was playing on a small club, and I think he, started liking me, and he was like, "Look, let's take a chance of this kid," because probably I reminded him of somebody that he probably coached over the years and felt like, with work I could, get somewhere.
Right.
And so grateful for, his name is Michel Verone, and I had the chance to see him again last year when I took my team to France. Actually,
right.
He's the general manager now.
Okay.
So anyways, having that opportunity was unbelievable. And even though it was just a couple of months before I got hurt, it wasn't so much the skills that I got better,
Mm-hmm.
but just being able to absorb impact from a guy named Jonathan McClark, if you Google him, you'll see how big he is. He's probably 6'8", 240 pounds,
Jeez.
American guy,
Okay.
crazy tough,
Yep.
dude. And you go set a cross screen, good old cross screen, down screen action, Utah, we call that Utah, to free up their big, and he's guarding their big, and you have to screen him. When I'm 17, probably 170 pounds, and he just demolished me, run through me.
Oh
right?
boy. Yeah.
Having guys on Emmanuel Lebrun, who's a 30 plus years old dude, 6'7", juiced up, strong, one of the best defender in the league.
Right.
Telling me I'm not, Rochelle Sherry as well, two of the best defender in the league, telling me you're not getting the ball today, rookie. And getting open was tough.
Yep.
And it wasn't an option not getting open. So you got to get open because you got to run the system. You don't get open, system doesn't run, and you got to go open in the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So just all of those things, being just much tougher, much more efficient with the ball, and just being able to stick to a role, which was play defense, make corner threes. I don't even know how I got better shooting because I didn't really practice. Like, we weren't doing individual drill. So it's not like I was working on my handles or working my shot, but for some reason I got so much better. So I was practicing with them and practicing with the feeder team at the same time. And I was playing with the feeder team, practicing with the pros, and just sitting on the bench with the pros. Played like maybe one time 10. Like one time I played 10 minutes, and then one time on preseason, and then another time I was on the bench, and the rest of the time I was on the bench, maybe 10 seconds here or whatever. So it wasn't meaningful minutes, but the practice was meaningful.
Right.
And then when I got to play like 40 minutes a game on the feeder team, all of a sudden I'm averaging like not crazy points because I was never a big time scorer, but just double, triple doubles. Right. And not even like creating like crazy, just simple passing, just that common sense. Mm-hmm. And I think all of those things, just being more efficient, being more cerebral, even though I don't think I was a smart player, but I was smarter than my age.
Right.
And just being fearless, just because I'm going against much stronger guys, and all of a sudden I got to get open against a guy who's lighter than me. Mm-hmm. Come on, I'm gonna get open, right? You got to finishing, a layup over somebody who's not as strong. It's not 240 pounds.
Right.
Just your confidence level. It's crazy how much your confidence, if somebody just give you an opportunity to just play your game, mm-hmm. and you actually take on that challenge and you're excited for it.
Right.
It's crazy. And that's really was my experience there. And that was, for me, the best. I think it was 2.5 months, 3 months of my life before I got injured. Mm-hmm. And I was just so, I never got that much confidence in my game. Ever.
Right. And I think it ties back to what we said earlier, kind of putting yourself in that uncomfortable situation that's not your kind of normal run-of-the-mill. Like, you're 17 going against guys that are 25, 30, twice your age, twice your size, running you over on a screen. And that's going to toughen you up whether you like it or not, because chances are he's coming back and he's going to hit you once again.
Well, it's coming back. One time we were doing those little drills, warm-up drills. You get the ball, you sprint around the cones, and the other guy sprint around the cones, and he's got a challenge. And those pros, some of them for warm-up, they don't really go hard. Like, they just get loose, get their body right. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm 30 something, I understand why, because it takes time to warm up your body when you work out. But me, right. I was going full speed for those drills, right? So I was just going around as fast as possible and dunking everything. And then once he came late and I dunked on that American player, that didn't go well whatsoever. I heard the V word. I heard the FU word. Oh, I heard, I'm going to F you up. And the whole practice, he was going after me.
Oh boy.
Like, literally, you can say nothing. first, he's the scariest dude I ever had to play with, not even against, with. and
Oh
uh,
man.
and uh, and yeah, that just toughen you up,
Yep.
and you can't say nothing,
Nope.
uh, and everybody's there laughing, right? Because they think it's the funniest stuff in the world.
Yep.
Looking back, I just didn't even like. Obviously, I was scared to be honest, but I was just not scared to the point where I would stop playing. I would just keep playing, and then at the end of practice, he came, put his arm around me, and say, "Ah, you scared? Huh? You scared?" And then I started joking around with me, and
Yep.
um, and it just helped me. And he was like, "Yeah, next time you just don't dunk on me.
Right.
Just
It.
remember that." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna try it. I'm still trying though."
Yep.
And yeah, it was just that whole experience. It's thing. Canadian players, unfortunately, the fact that we have a pro league, and I think more younger players are starting playing with adults. But
Right.
for us in France, that's what made us better, other than the skills.
Mhm.
Just playing with guys who passes, even just catching the ball from a man who's passing the ball so hard that your hands get stronger. Just because at first you struggle, but then it sounds very stupid. But if you never experienced it, when you're 16, 17, 18, and you play with a man who's way stronger than you,
Right.
just catching the ball is a struggle, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. You don't see it a whole lot in Canada where you're playing with kind of guys or girls kind of out of your age group. It's just kind of you
No.
play with your same group, maybe 1 or 2 years older if you have a brother, but
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't call kind of like a rec league like the YMCA basketball as playing with that kind of
No.
uh, age group because the caliber is not there.
Yeah.
So putting yourself in a situation like that at 17 in France is something I think would be nice to see in our system over here to kind of better prepare the athletes for what's coming ahead in the game. Uh, because, like you said, even if you don't play minutes, just the sheer experience of being in practice, getting
Mm.
reps in against the older age group, learning more advanced systems, just understanding plays and how to be efficient, how to be smarter player. Like everything you said would benefit a ton of players out here that I don't think we
Sure.
do enough of.
No, not at all. I think the best players here do it,
Mhm.
just because they obviously they're the best players and they get the opportunity to do so.
Right.
But a regular player like me, I was just a regular Joe, being able to be in that situation doesn't really happen too much, and that's unfortunate. But
Mhm.
there is also a lot of pros, so they balance himself out. But
Mhm.
that's why you see younger European players. They come here in the NBA, and they're just ready for that. They're not ready for the speed because I think you gotta get used to the speed of playing here.
Mhm.
But a guy like easiest example would be Luka Doncic, right?
Yep.
Who was the epitome of that, right? Playing,
Right.
being the MVP of the EuroLeague at 19 years old. Okay, it doesn't compare to my little experience, but just
Right.
put that in perspective.
Hmm.
That's why he's that good in the NBA, right?
Yep.
And there is other players that you will see coming in the NBA as French players, Serbian players, and you're sitting you're like, oh wow, he's 21 years old, but he's got experience for playing pros for now 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Now they're coming and they are very good rookies
Hmm.
because they're ready to play right away.
Right. Because they have that that experience that guys and girls
Sure,
here don't get because it's collegiate, which no shot at the collegiate game, but playing professional, it's just another animal altogether,
it's
like you said.
another, yeah. That's why I'm excited to see Lamelo Ball, for example.
Right.
Even though
Hmm.
I'm not the biggest fan of that player,
Hmm.
he's growing on me, to be honest. And the fact that he was able to play against men's in Australia and with past NBA players, there
Right.
was two former NBA players on his team.
Hmm.
I'm excited to see like is this a guy that's going to be able to have an impact greater than his brother in his first year just because he had that international men's game experience.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not the biggest fan of the Ball family in general. But he's not as outspoken as he was when he was younger either, which I
No, he
think that,
seems to have matured.
and I think that ties into that professional game. I think when he got over and started playing professionally, I think they kind of showed him real quick, like, this is kind of how you operate as a professional, and
Mhm.
off the court, this is how you carry yourself. This is what you need to do. And I'm with you. I think he's kind of grown on me a bit because he has matured immensely since what he
Yeah.
was
Really,
when.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see. I hope that, and I really hope he does well. Anyway, I would never
Yeah,
wish any bad
right.
luck on any players, but
Hmm.
I'm just excited. I'm excited to see, like, okay, what is this all about?
Yeah.
Just because he had that international experience. I mean,
Hmm.
there's many other players like Killian Hayes and Theo Maledon, French players. I'm
Hmm.
excited to see how they're going to do, and because I know how good they are,
Right.
and not maybe other people in North America don't really realize how good those guys are.
Hmm. And for the Mellow, I mean, going to Charlotte where Michael's there, I mean, he couldn't have a better person to learn from because he's got the potential. And like, he put up 90 something in the high school game. It's like he's no stranger to the spotlight.
Yeah.
And I think Michael alone will kind of help him. It's like, this is how you deal with the spotlight of being a top three pick with a ton of potential.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was probably the best thing for him, to not go number one, to fall to three, and go to a team like Charlotte with Mike there.
Historically, number 2 and 3 draft picks do better than the first pick.
Yeah,
So we'll see if that's the case there again.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, if I was them, I'd just be happy to be picked or
Yeah,
even be talked about. But
you pick me right now for a minimum of $100 a day. I'd take
yeah,
it.
I'll take the veterans minimum and then less than the veterans minimum, just to have a sniff of what life is like out in their world. Um, but kind of looking at now, like we said, kind of the themes of your career with that work ethic, initiative, perseverance. You had the knee injury. You moved to Canada after that, and
Yeah,
tried to. Then you came back and played with under Sean Swords a little bit there at
yeah.
the end as well, and then just obviously trying to get into coaching, and that everything is kind of been fueled by your work ethic, your motivation,
Mm-hmm.
your perseverance. What's been kind of your intrinsic motivation throughout everything, with the knee injury kind of throwing playing off the rails a bit, and then trying to get into coaching, kind of earn your spot uh, in James Druin's system where he wasn't really aware of who you were.
No,
Uh,
not at
but
all.
what kind of motivated you to keep moving along and keep pushing through these hurdles that kept popping up as you moved along?
I think true life, the true meaning of your motivation, which we call our why,
Mhm.
evolve.
Okay.
Right? It for me, deeply inside, obviously, it goes back to my family and wanted to do well for my family
Mhm.
and have them be proud of me. That haven't really changed since I moved to Canada.
Right.
Uh, but then there's other whys, the complementary whys
Mhm.
that fills you that are different. You're gonna laugh, but the first one was that I didn't want to go back to France.
Okay.
So my first why is like, if I go back to France, my mom already told me, I'm sending you to the army and you're going into the army
Okay.
because she wanted me to learn a skill, and we come from a family who my grandfather was a high rank in the army,
Okay.
in French army, a general, and my uncle went into the army. So that's kind of the family trees there. And she felt like I will have a good personality to do so because I understand hierarchy and I respect the rank and stuff like that. But I really didn't want to do it. I was like, okay, if I can do it to make money and make sure I have money in my future, but it's not something that I was excited about whatsoever. So that was my why. Not go back to France and not be sent to the army, especially because the war in Afghanistan were going on at the same time. So I'm like, no,
Right.
I'm not made for this.
No.
Um, and then I think you just want to do well in school just because you want to graduate and you want to get a good job. Like
Hmm.
you just want to have a good life,
Right.
right? Not have to worry about paycheck to paycheck and have, I just wanted a better life for myself. I want a good life for myself and
Hmm.
something that I would be excited. So I think it's just like all of those reasons, and then you start into falling into coaching and you start liking it. So I think there is, again, I could go on and on and on to tell you why at each moment of my life I was motivated.
Hmm.
But to be honest, I think when I moved to Canada, I started to learn how work ethic has an influence on your mood,
Hmm.
have an influence on your confidence,
Right.
have an influence on your self-esteem,
Hmm.
and all other aspects of yourself that if you work hard, most likely, not every time,
Hmm.
but in general, a lot more positives going to come out of your life
Right.
than negative.
Right.
And I didn't really, if I would have grasped that in France when I was 17, 18, and I got injured,
Hmm.
and I would have I had access to a gym and I would get a trainer and get my knee right, I probably would have an average, below average career in France, which would have been awesome for me
Hmm.
just because of where I started basketball wise.
Right.
But I'd never grasped that with my body. It
Hmm.
was more with my mind and school and stuff like that. And then everything, I think it's something that you grow
Hmm.
and you are, uh, I guess, getting better at. And
Right.
every year I got better at it. And then, when I started to coach, it was Johnny Burmascal, Mike Lafrican, Caleb Agata. Those guys taught me because they were so addicted to training. They
Hmm.
taught me how to work, the work ethic of a coach should be. And
Hmm.
James also nourished that in me and helped me um, understand what he will take for us to get to the top.
Hmm.
And I learned that from James and the players at Auto EU. And then I was able to be a driver, not
Right.
just somebody that will get dragged along, quote unquote. So then I reversed it into I'm pushing you guys to be
Right.
better. So I try to push James to be better. I try to push the players to be better. And
Hmm.
then we all push each other into with our work ethic. So I think just overall it's just if you want to achieve something positive and you want to have some positives coming out of your life, focus on the task ahead and work and be diligent with your work so that the big picture will get better. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the big picture. I want this, but we're not focused on the task ahead.
Hmm.
And we are more what we called it, our sports psych coach called it process goals over
Okay.
goals. So, in order to become a better shooter, you need to have your process goal in check. So you need to put, the small task, 50 shots a day, whatever. I'm making that up, but
Hmm.
having those in check. And that's really something that I've been doing for a while and it worked out and it's working fairly well so far,
Right.
I would
Yeah.
say.
I mean, I'd say like you got the Laurier job at 29. Like you've kind of shown that kind of that work ethic, kind of lived by that as you've kind of progressed. And I think that's one of the big things you took from that is you learn from different people as you move along, whether it is players, whether it's other coaches, whether it's uh, friends, or even yourself. You just you learn
Sure.
as you go, and then you use that to then help them learn more, help them grow, help push them further. But the one thing that I tried to live by the last bit is something I heard from Brian Burke that says, the harder I work, the luckier I seem to be.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
if you do those little tasks, those small tasks, like you said, as an example, the 50 shots a day, you want to improve your shooting. That's going to help you down the road in that bigger picture
Hmm.
because you don't just go from A to B and it's there. And you
Yeah,
don't wake up a better shooter. You have to put in those small tasks. It'd be nice if it worked that way.
that would be very nice.
It would be so much easier if you could just wake up the next day and say, I want to be a better shooter today. And all of a sudden you go in and you're shooting 80%. You have to put in that work and those things that nobody really sees to get that end result that you want, and it's not for everybody. And there are days where you're going to kind of have less motivation than others, but if you kind of keep the bigger picture in focus, but still have the will and desire to do those small things, you'll get there. And I think you've
Sure.
been a testament to that over your career so far, just doing those things, whatever you need to do to get to where you are now.
For sure. And I mean, I try at least. And again, like I said, I'm happy, not satisfied. I don't think that, the better version of myself is yet to come.
Right.
And that is something that I'm always striving for,
Right.
until I'm gone.
Right.
So that, it's the journey that I try to live by. And some days are amazing. Some days are not really good at it. Some days I'm average.
Right.
But I'm always self-aware on how am I doing in that area. And I think that's important.
And one thing too, I don't know, it makes sense in my head, but when I say it out loud, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to try it and see if it works with you. But to me, I'm a believer that your best should never really come. You should never really reach your best, because every day should be better than the last. And then tomorrow should be better than today. So you should never really be at your best, because like you said, you're always striving for more.
For sure.
So I think your best never really comes, because that's what you're working towards. And when it comes,
I think your best can be assessed when unfortunately you're gone.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And until then, it is always a chance to get better.
Right. If you're at your best, chances are you are 6 feet underground, and you're looking down on people talking about your best.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that would make sense. That makes sense to me, at least.
Okay. Every time it's in my head, I can hear it. I'm like, this sounds smart. And then I say it out loud to somebody, and they look at me, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, what is going on in your head?
Like you.
But I'm glad that you understood what I was trying to get at. Is there anything else on your journey you want to touch on? Anything on your experiences before we get into the last one I ask everybody about growing our game in Canada?
Not too much. Just because there's something coming out soon, so I wanted to touch base and talk about it. And it goes back to, I guess, the motivation and the work ethic and the drive to accomplish something. When I got the job at Laurier, my quote unquote, my biggest dream, other than winning a national championship, was to take my team to France. Just because obviously I was born and raised in France, but also for the journey as a team, learning about the history behind France and Canada during World War II, because that's where I'm from. So I'm from the Normandy area, where the Canadian soldiers were coming to save us, pretty much. And also just having them have the experience to play against professional teams, and I knew I would be able to get games in very easily. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy in the department. A lot of people didn't really believe that I was going to be able to make it happen. And next thing you know, literally I got the job in 2016. So 3 years later, we were going, and we went last summer. And for me, that's just an accomplishment of being able to have a goal in mind and a dream, quote unquote. So that's a big picture. And then from there, trying to figure out what are the process goals to check in order for us to be there. Okay, build a relationship with somebody on campus that we can create fundraisers. Build a relationship with the community that you can build fundraisers. Build a relationship with the alumni to get a donor. We got 2 major donors, Richard Brennan and Sandy Nixon from alumni. Then I have my friend Ian Mahimi, who's an NBA player, who also donated to the trip. So those were the 3 major donors for the trips. Then there's get the school to be on board. So the student union actually gave us a lot of money as
Okay.
well. And then the department finalized it with also matching a donation.
Okay.
So all of those things I needed to play, trying to create relationship, build bridges with everybody, and have them believe the goal, the dream, and the vision that I had for us to go there. So it wasn't just like I called my buddy, oh, you're in the MBA, you make a lot of money, give me money. No, it was I'm first I would go see him it's building relationship. He's my brother, but it's something that you ask your friend usually.
Right.
So I flew there out of my own money, went to see him for a weekend, like I always do multiple times a year. And I sit down with him, I explain him the vision. I have a presentation, a PDF presentation, print out, like really just showing him the vision. I didn't want him to do it just because he's my brother. I wanted him to do it because he believed in the story. Same with Richard Braden, who's a lawyer out of London. He believed in the vision. We met multiple times and he bought in. Cindy Nixon, we went for dinner multiple times. We met multiple times. So it was, getting the student union to believe in the project, the school to believe in the project, to the point where we went and the president of the school took vacation to go to France with her nephew to be on the trip with us. Right. And we actually having a documentary coming out. So the teaser is coming out December 2nd. The first part of it's a 3-part series documentary on the trip on Instagram, so on our Instagram channel. And it will be December 4th, December 7th, December 9th. Okay. The 3-part series. And then eventually we will release it in one big format on maybe before Christmas or whatnot. But it just I put it out there. I think it would be good for university medias to really push that documentary. I think since I've been in Canada for 14 years now, I never seen a team put out a documentary on the trip they've done overseas. Beyond just a lot of teams went overseas. Obviously, Calgary went to Germany, Carlton went to Spain, but we never seen footage. We never seen a documentary. We never seen something that showed why we're doing it and the bigger picture of life. And something that I'm very proud of. I'm very thankful for all of the donors. I'm very thankful for Nicole, our video editing girl, was our team trainer to make the movie. And it's unbelievable. Like it's done so well. And very excited and very proud of the project.
Yeah. I mean, this comes out the same day, December 2nd. So I mean, if you hear this, you say that, go watch it.
So December 2nd is the teaser. December 4th is the part 1 of the documentary. So
by the time you listen to this, the teaser will be out. Go check it out, follow on social media, come back the 4th, and then come back the 7th, and then come back again the 9th and watch all 3. But like you said, I don't think there are, I'm trying to think too, like I can't remember any schools kind of doing that, like showcasing the entire trip in a video format. You get your snippets, you get your pictures, you get your little 30-second videos or whatever, but not a full production documentary essentially. And that's going to be really cool to see, and it really shows like that whole process that you had your process goal in mind. It took you 3 years to get that. And for anybody setting their goals, it doesn't happen overnight. You're not just going to call up a buddy and say, I want you make a lot of money. Can you just pay for our trip? There's a lot more that goes into it. And like you mentioned, the relationship building, sometimes you got to pay money out of your own pocket to get the end goal you want. And the big thing is, it doesn't happen overnight, and it probably doesn't happen in 2 nights. And if you want it, you got to work for it, and no one else is going to do it but you. At the end of the day.
And then the one thing I always say is, I tell my players, turn the non-believers into believers. And that's really the story of that journey, because the people that really didn't thought we could have made it happen, the closer we were getting. At first, it was just, I'm gonna do it myself.
Right.
And fundraise, we probably fundraised, well, total $50,000, but it was 15, almost 20 grand that we fundraised, but I fundraised with the players and the team on our own.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, okay, we're getting close. We're getting somewhere. And then those student people that were like, this guy is crazy, thinking he's going to just take the team like that and go to France. He doesn't understand how much it costs. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then at the end of the day, people that thought it was too big of a project jumped in and actually gave us money to make it happen. But you don't just get there by asking them the money right away. You got to make them believe in it. So yeah, like you said, it's a journey, and once you've done it, you accomplish it, you're so freaking proud of it, and it's the best feeling.
Exactly. And like you have to make them believe, and by doing that, you showed obviously with the fundraising that you have to believe it too. You have to believe that it is a real possibility, because just asking people for money doesn't show that you believe you can do it, doesn't show that they should believe you can do it.
Yeah.
But when they see you raising 40% of it on your own already, they're like, oh damn, like this guy believes that he can get his team to France. Let's help out. And once you believe in yourself, I think the doors open everywhere. You just got to have that believe in yourself first, and everything else will kind of work itself out from there. But if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will.
For sure.
The last one kind of stems off this, with you guys kind of being the only real program to do a documentary of this caliber. Focuses on, and I ask everybody this to kind of get different ideas, perspectives, suggestions of what we can do more of to get our game to where it should be. So I think U Sports, CCAA, we're going the right direction in like a media, a growth kind of coverage, attention standpoint, but we're far from where we need to be. So do you have, like, from your perspective, being an assistant coach to head coach, any ideas, suggestions, things you'd like to see done or happen so we can get that level of attention, admiration, overall kind of respect around the game and around our programs to where it is more than deserving to be?
I think what you're doing and Tio is doing, and in the fourth Instagram channel, I think I met that guy once, but I can't remember exactly his name. I'm sorry. But those platforms that came in within the last, maybe I would say 2 years.
Yes.
Really just already putting the awareness there to the general population. We do have our team account, and we do have our university accounts, university website. But in terms of the communication piece, having also Muted Madness on Twitter, those guys are pushing the agenda up, and now you just see, I hate that word, but I'm going to use it anyways, the exposure of our league is being reported and communicated through medias, not our medias, because it means more to people if it's independent media who cares about something that they are not affiliated to, than us pushing our own agenda, right? So I think that's a good something good. On point basketball also, I probably will forget some people who are doing some stuff like that, and I apologize if I do so. But I'm very grateful, and we're all very grateful for you guys, the media. And what I like is the younger type of media. We used to have older gentlemen who will report our game, but they will do it in a way where it will not be spread the same way, and will not be reaching the younger audience. In order for us to to get fans,
Right.
which the NCAA and the NBA, it's not something we want to compete with. We
No.
just want to grow and be our own self.
Right.
And for that, we need to be able to have the younger population be more educated about our league, the level of our league, the excitement of our league, and the things that we could do in our league so that
Right.
they grow to be educated. They don't
Right.
need to become fan necessarily,
Mhm.
but they need to be educated at the younger age so that they can see us as something that is legitimate.
Right.
And I'm not, it's very philosophical what I'm saying, and it's not very tangible.
No.
But it is the way that I would like the league to go. And one thing that the OUA could do and the U Sports could do is work with you guys, the media specialized in our league, and not necessarily be in friction with. I've seen friction between the OUA and some medias that are reporting our games. They will go back and forth. They will argue, and you can tell they're not really working hand in hand.
Right.
I think our league, that can't just be a school. I can be, talking to you and doing our podcast, and we can have a great relationship, or just a cordial relationship, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But it's not going to have the impact if the league gets on board and say, look, those are the media that the people give the people what they want, and the people have decided you guys are the media that we want to hear from.
Yep.
Perfect. How can the U Sport and the provincial entities, OUA, and partner with you guys so that you have a plan in access to whatever you guys need. You have a plan in place so that we are pushing up and not arguing about. And when I see some of the media arguing back and forth with the OUA president, and I'm just like baffled because it's just hurting the game. We have to work together. We can't just argue.
Right. Like we're all working towards that kind of collective goal. We should be working kind of alongside, parallel with one another, kind of going the same direction. Obviously, everybody's going to kind of have their own unique approach to it and kind of do their own thing a different way. But like you said, at the end of the day, we are working towards that one collective goal. And when you spend more time going head to head than kind of, working together, it's not going to work. It's not going to help the solution, the agenda you're trying to push. I mean, the agenda kind of stops when you start arguing on social media or whatever it may be. And I think it's not something we do enough of. We don't build each other up enough from a media side of it.
No.
And then it's unfortunate that then schools and players kind of take a back seat to it a bit, because then we are focused on our own personal agendas as opposed to the one that all 48 schools in U Sports are working towards at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if I was in the OUA board, or if I was working for OUA U Sports, I would for sure reach out to all of the medias that are covering us and have a meeting right away and say, look, here's what are we doing? Here's what, the direction we want to take communication wise, whatever. How can we help you guys? How can you guys help us? What is the direction we want to take to grow us and so that everybody can benefit from it? And also just like having you guys have a voice in terms of how do you want to see the league go? You don't have to take all of the feedback, but I'm sure there is some media that have thought on how can we help the league be more, I guess, successful in terms of the awareness, the brand image, and all of that stuff, so that we're moving towards the right direction. And again, the OUA and the OU Sports aren't enough of an entity, big enough or strong enough to work independently. They need to work with partners and almost like want to make a conglomerate of media, so that now that actually have some value and not just
Right.
one guy doing one thing, one guy doing one thing, which is going to happen. But
Right.
also have some stuff where if we want to push something, let's push it together.
Right. And I think another thing too is kind of the consistency side of it. I think with uh, the national bodies and provincial bodies, it's quiet after a while, and um, consistency, to say the least, is a big issue. And I think that needs to be addressed as well. And I'm guilty of it. I mean, I'm one of those one people that you just mentioned, trying to do a lot of different things, and it doesn't go that way. And I was silly and added a third job in the pandemic on top of trying to do whatever else I do. But I think the consistency side, you can't post for 2 weeks and then not do anything for a month, and then talk about one school and then not talk about the other 47. And the consistency kind of needs to figure itself out as well, and
Yeah.
not rely on, like you said, the individual schools to push their own agenda, because the overseeing bodies need to do that as well.
Yeah. Like, for example, I'm very curious to see who out of those media outlets, and I will make sure we tag you guys, see how many of those media are relaying our documentary, for example. And see, I want to see if the OUA is going to pick that up, OU Sports going to pick that up to see, like, okay, that's something that you never seen before. It's new. Even like, for example, I did the FISU game last year, right?
Mhm.
We didn't even have something like we didn't have like we could have easily have somebody from the media. I know I know some of them were at the training camp, but have somebody there on the trip to follow some of the teams, just to have some visuals. I think people want to see some visuals now,
Right.
and that the fact that we didn't have that, I think was kind of a bummer, because it was an amazing experience. And the
Right.
thing we saw and the thing we experienced was incredible, but we don't have something to look back on, and
Right.
it's just sad, And again, we'll see if that get picks up from other people. I hope it does, just because we're doing it so that other people get inspired. We were open enough to open the door and let the people see us in a different light, and I hope
Right.
that it's just going to help the game and the league and whatever.
Not that I doubt myself, but I am putting a reminder in my phone right now for the second, because I'm gonna reshare it regardless. But
Appreciate it.
with the way 2020's gone, who knows what's going to happen in a week from now? So I am going to say, I don't know what time. I'm just going to make it an all-day reminder for myself to just constantly refresh your social media pages, so I don't get called out, because I just preach consistency and
I'll send you a
doing
personal
everything.
email.
And now I don't want to preach all this and have it public, and then this is going to roll out, and then I'm late to the party that I just kind of invited
I
myself
hope
to.
I hope it will get picked up enough that you wouldn't be able to miss it. That's my goal.
That's that would be nice. That if something does, touch wood, unforsaken happen, and I can just scroll, and it'd be nice to not see the men's basketball as the first one.
Yeah,
See other outlets kind of grab it first.
yeah.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
I hope so too.
My fingers crossed for you, because I think, like you said, it's a fantastic thing that not really anybody else has done before. So I'm excited to see it now, and just to kind of see a bit more of France, where I've never been. So
There you go.
just even from that side of it alone, I'm excited to see. But I like where you're going with this, kind of work together, not against one another, to kind of get the uh, everything where we want it to be, because we all want to make our league, like you said, legitimate, and kind of bring it into the light. And your word of exposure, which you don't like, but it's kind of what we need, and we need more consistent exposure, and not just when it's convenient for certain people.
For sure. For sure.
Any last words from you on your team, on yourself, that you want to throw in? I apologize for putting you on the spot, but I'll leave the last word to you, if there is one.
Oh, I don't really, I think we covered pretty much everything. The thing that, the few things that I really want we've talked about it, and
Mhm.
again, I wanted to thank you for asking me, and I felt very blessed and lucky to for you to ask me to speak on my journey, and I've been very surprised and happy that a lot of people wanted to speak with me during the pandemic. I did a few interview,
Yep.
and it's a blessing, and I'm very thankful. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're excited to get back on a court one day, and until then, we stay positive, and we wish everybody the best of luck. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right. Well, I'll thank you again as well for taking your time to do this. I didn't realize you had a young one until we did this, so I apologize for taking you from her.
Oh no,
But I really appreciate you taking the time. And anytime you want to come back on and do it again, there's always a spot here for you. And hopefully, when the restrictions lift a bit, we can make it. I'll make a drive down to 401, and we'll meet in person.
appreciate it, Tyler.